What is going on, guys? It's your boy Levin back at it again with another video, and today I'm coming at you guys with a little bit of a more casual video. I don't have any script in mind. I don't really have any real points. I do have obviously the topic that I want to talk about, but I'm pretty much just going to go about this video just very freely, very loosely, but I really do want to get a couple things off my chest and just give you guys my 2 cents on what I'm going to talk about. And as a fair warning, it is going to be relating to Smash Bros, but it's something that I feel would be interesting to some, so I highly recommend that you guys just put the video on in the background and just kind of listen to what I have to say, and hopefully it could relate to you in some aspect. It's not really the theming of it is going to be Smash Bros, but for the most part it's just, I guess, sort of a experience sort of thing. For those of you guys who don't know, I do own an organization called Deathbed Esports, and the game that we center our team around is mainly Smash Brothers Ultimate. We do also want to venture into other games eventually, but for the most part, currently, we are mainly known as a Smash Brothers team. And through that, and even before that, I want to say for the better part of a year now, I have been heavily invested and involved in the Smash Brothers community, running tournaments, doing Smash Brothers Ultimate streams, creating content, getting involved in making graphics for the game and stuff like that. And obviously, like I just mentioned, running my own organization. And I have met a lot of different people, a lot of players, very talented people. I have met tournament organizers, artists, literally any role that Smash Brothers has. I have met an individual that fits that role. I have been part of different teams, different organizations. I have met different owners. I have experiences with different people. And in this video, I'm not going to name any specific names. I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a broad sort of setting the scene when it comes to me telling you guys some of my personal experiences with it. Without wasting any of you guys' time, I want to get into the first sort of thing that I guess the biggest thing, and that is the topic of ego in the Smash Brothers scene. And I feel like if you keep up with it, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Discord servers, if you're potentially part of a team, you know that there's a lot of egos in the scene. There's a lot of people who think that this is everything that I have. This game is the thing that I'm good at, and I'm gonna invest fully into it. And it creates a dynamic that at times it's not entirely healthy. Like I mentioned, again, I run my own team. I take care and I associate and I talk to a lot of different players because Deathbed Esports does have a ton of players on it. And I have met people who, of all different varieties, right? People who legitimately just want to play the game for fun, regardless of results. And I feel like some of those people are the most cracked, which is insane. Then you have the people who are kind of in the middle, just kind of really trying to focusing on getting better. They're not fully there yet. You know, they still kind of play it a little bit more casual, but is a little bit more serious about it. Then you have the other side of the spectrum where it's like the people who are legitimately trying to make a name for themselves with this specific thing. And problems arise with all 3 of those players, right? But I feel like for the most part, the people that I usually see struggling the most, I feel like, is the people up top. Players who get amazing results, players who have been making a name for themselves, have been acknowledged by people who are considered at the top, you know, top 100 players, been acknowledged and are making a legitimate name for themselves, potentially starting to go offline and doing good there too. But I feel like a lot of those times their mentality could either go one or 2 ways. The ego could start to inflate and they think they're the hot shit and they think that they deserve everything, right? They get a little bit of internet clout, they get a couple more followers on Twitter through being recognized again by top players, and it gets to them. They think that they can easily get away with whatever it is that they spew on sites like Twitter and, you know, on Discord. They at times give false information and think that it's okay to get away with it because they have a certain number attached to their name on Twitter. And at times it honestly is baffling to me, right? And this has been a problem that I feel like with the Smash scene has been having, is the topic of forgiveness. I feel like at times people don't necessarily forgive, but instead they just kind of forget, right? They forget that people say shit online and think that it's okay. They have no problem banning characters, but they have a very tough time getting rid of players who, you know, for the most part, they do horrible shit and people are perfectly fine with just allowing them to resume as if nothing happened. And I feel like in any other situation, it would not go unnoticed, right? It would not go unnoticed. And then the topic of cancel culture has been very heavily debated and talked about over the years. I feel like now more than ever. And it feels like the smashing just kind of lives within its own bubble that creates their own rules. And what I mean by that was kind of what I said earlier, was that it kind of doesn't follow the normal cancellation sort of guidelines, I guess, where some people legitimately do horrible things, and it's very easy for the grander scale of people to recognize that it's horrible. So there's no problem with shunning them from the scene or just excluding them and not wanting to associate with them. But there's also people that sort of fall under that same category that seemingly just get away with things, again, by either spreading misinformation, clearly being a fucking asshole to those who associate with them. And it's kind of delusional activity. And to me, that's a big issue, right? That's a big issue. And I really hope that as time goes on, and I say this very loosely because we've had plenty of time to change, right? The Smash community has had plenty of times to change, but I feel like every month, or maybe potentially every other week, I'm getting just more and more disappointed, either by somebody just being a complete asshole, things coming out about a certain person, or just things being stripped away from us while when the scene is already pretty much hanging by a thread. I feel like now more than ever, or just as time goes on. I feel like a lot of people default to going to Twitter or going to Discord to vent and be so immediate to lose or get upset or get beaten by a player they haven't gotten beaten by, and they go immediately on Twitter, and that's where you make your first mistake, right? I feel like we so easily just forget that it's a hellhole on Twitter. It's a shitstorm on certain Discord servers, and we need to remember that if that is your first instinct to do those things, then maybe you shouldn't be doing those things in the first place. I hope that makes sense. Twitter, like I said, is a shitstorm, and people who you think care about you sometimes probably don't, right? And it's really sad to see, and I've seen it happen one too many times in the Smash community, where the people who you think are your biggest supporters, the moment that something happens to you, something bad happens to you, or something happens, they're the ones that are not there to catch you as you fall. They're the ones that are your biggest haters, right? Internalized haters, and we're waiting for your downfall. And again, I feel like that happens way too often in the Smash scene. It's very unfortunate, but it happens, and it's the norm, sadly. Now, onto the topic, switching the topic to maybe something that is not so relatable to some, because it's a very big undertaking, I will admit, and that is owning a Smash team, or owning an esports team, if I want to clear that up. Running your own esports team is very much you got to be open-minded sort of deal, right? If this is your first venture, such as Deathbed is to myself, it's my first venture into it, and I knew by experiencing what it was to be part of a team, getting to know some of the owners of the teams that I was invested in or potentially part of, I knew that there were certain things that I liked, certain things that I didn't like, something that I would change. But it's very much still a you learn as you go sort of thing, and I have learned a lot, right? And I like to think that I run something I guess you would call successful, because I am very open-minded and willing to learn from other people. And I don't care, again, what role you fit or what role you want to do in the Smash scene. I am very much new to it, right? As much as I could keep up with it from behind the scenes as a spectator, being actually in it is a very different thing, especially when you run your own team too. And again, I'm all ears when it comes to these sorts of things. And I also like to think that I'm a very level-headed person, right? I like to hear people out. I like to, you know, hear both sides of the story, or be rational when things are don't need to be escalated by any means. And for whatever reason, I just feel like it's not something that is the norm once again in the Smash scene. And I feel like it's just because I feel like a lot of people want to start something and they kind of just default to starting their own team, and instead of, you know, making it like a circle of friends that call themselves a crew, because there's very much a distinction between a team, an esports team, and a crew when it comes to Smash Brothers. A crew is more loose. A crew usually competes in crew battles. You know, it's not, maybe they do have their own guidelines as to how you can join and, you know, win rates or whatever. And I guess in those aspects, I guess it's a little bit similar to owning a team, or to being part of a team. Obviously there's many more benefits, I feel like, when you actually join a team that is able to give you some benefits. But again, a crew is just a very loose, more usually meant for friends, you know, to rep a tag and be part of something. And again, I feel like when somebody wants to start something like that, instead of going for the crew route, they go for starting a team. And that makes it to where, usually from my experiences, a lot of the teams that are online are ran by teenagers. And obviously I don't want to, you know, I don't want to take away from anybody just because of their age. I work in the school district. I know what it's like, again, and being open-minded really helps in a job like that, because you got to listen to these kids. Some of these kids could be very much thinking about things in a very different way, and you need to hear them out, right? You need to hear them out because maybe you lack the understanding that they have. So it's got maybe not to do with their age, but just them not fully understanding certain things, or at times, I guess, lack the life experience, I guess. And I guess to give you guys a little bit of an example, again, I won't get into too specific details. I won't be naming any names, but there's been several instances where I feel like where some people, owners, or just people that help run teams, feel like they can just stampede me, feel like they can just you know, make their magic happen with words, or by being snarky, or try to be witty, or just downright being disrespectful, right? And they think that because it's worked in the past, that it's going to work again, right, with a person like me. And to me, my very first thought is like, God damn, dude, the balls for you to be this type of way. You know, the lack of some sort of decency, the lack of manners at times, right? The lack of manners is honestly baffling, and kind of just, it sucks, right? It really does suck, because you would think that they would want to approach you, especially if they're trying to do things like collaborate or make something happen. You would think that they would try to approach you in a more calm and relaxed manner, not trying to be witty, not trying to be snarky, not coming off as if from the get-go they want to establish it that this is where I'm at and this is where you're at. Okay, so please listen to me, or I will turn it up a notch on you. And it's happened to me with people around my age, people again that are in their teens, or just, you know, starting to get into adulthood. And it sucks, man. It really does suck. I in a place where I am so willing to collaborate, I have been kind of turned off by the idea of collaborating with other teams, or just getting involved more with other people, because of those experiences, right? Experiences that I wish would have been healthy. And I came into it like willing to collaborate, because the way that my team runs is that it's a multi-sponsor sort of thing, where if you want to represent another team as well, I'm not going to be the one that tell you no to do that, because the Smash scene is already pretty much not making a whole lot of money. There's not real money in it. And it's one of those things where if you're getting resources, if you're obtaining those resources, I don't want to strip you away from that. But getting back to the topic is that I was mentioning, is that I feel like a lot of people I feel like some people think that they could just walk all over me, and no. There's been a lot of things that I have experienced in my life. I've dealt with many different types of people through my jobs, I feel like growing up a little bit too fast, having unfiltered internet. And I've lived through things, and again, I feel like I have grown up a little bit faster than I feel like I did in my teenage years, and obviously through now and what I've known and what I've experienced. I've dealt with a ton of different people, and I am not gonna let some teenager or some person who thinks that they deserve everything in the world when they get to treat people like shit. It's not going to work on me. And I really sincerely hope that people understand that, right? You can't allow others to walk all over you, and you can't expect to have the same results as you have. And when you're met with some pushback, in my case, when I respond in a more mannered way, and it makes you understand how dumb it was for you to even come to me with that type of energy. Yeah, don't be too surprised when that happens. They don't like that. Those people don't like to be told that, hey, fucking take a step back and chill out. There's no reason for you to talk to me like that, little boy. And I feel like a lot of people think that they could just do that. And I really hope that people understand that you can't let yourself be walked all over, because people are just gonna take advantage of you. And for the most part, it does suck, but in this scene, I feel like some people are out to take advantage of you. Saying all that, why do I stick around? Why do I even associate, right? And at times I've asked myself that, is like, why do I even bother with this? You know, there's other games that you could be invested in. There's other things that you could be doing, you know? But I stick around because of the people that I have met, right? I like to consider, you know, some of the people that I call my friends now to be what holds me in, right? Again, I get so much pride, so much happiness from seeing, from watching a major tournament and there being one of my players, the DBE tag being represented, the person playing on stream wearing the jersey. There brings me nothing more happiness in my life. There's very little things that do that for me in my life, honestly. And just knowing that that is something that I created with, obviously with the help of the people that helped me run it. You know, I'm gonna name names but people like the homie Cham, Zeno, who helped me run this whole entire thing. It's been amazing. And again, I talked about the Smash team being within its own little bubble, but I feel like at times DBE is in its own little bubble, because I feel like we do a good job at differentiating ourselves from the rest of the scene. We do things in a different way, and it's something that I'm very proud of. Of course, there are things that I would fix about it. There are things that I'm still learning to get better at for myself, but I like to think that we're on the right track. Again, through being an owner, this is beyond me. Like, it's not about me, it's about the players. It's about making things happen to accommodate to those players and everybody involved, the content creators, the artists and whatnot. And it's something that is not really about me, right? So when it comes to the branding of it, when it comes to the social media platforms like Twitter or whatever, I don't like to make those things about myself, because again, it's not about myself, right? I started doing that because I started practicing more with doing graphic designing, and so whenever we would have a tournament, we would do a top 8 graphic, I would tag myself. But even then, shortly after, I stopped doing that because whatever, it's what I should be doing for my team, right? Is building their brand and having high quality graphics, right? And people don't need to know if it's for me, right? I could quote retweet it on my own social platform, but I stopped tagging myself just because it's one of those things that, again, I don't want to make it about myself. And I've learned, even though sometimes I just want to go and again grab my phone whenever I see somebody bad mouthing or just, you know, making fun of, for whatever reason, finding a reason to make fun of the team, it's not something that I immediately go and I respond to it. And I don't necessarily think that would be the healthiest thing to do anyways. I don't want to get myself involved in anything. I don't want to just talk about something that I think is clearly bait. I don't want to get myself involved in something that I shouldn't be getting involved with. So I just don't even bother in the first place. I just like to think that this person's talking about is we're living rent free in their mind, or you know, their friend group is talking about it, we're clearly in their mouths, or them thinking about it, and that's all I need, baby. That's all I need for me to know that at least because I know I'm not doing anything controversial. I know that we're not fucking over anybody, and so whatever it is that they have to say is their own opinion and their right to say, right? But I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm at. I know the direction. I'm happy with everything that I'm doing, and I don't need to fucking get myself involved in that teenager drama bullshit. It's the Smash community, bro. So the people, it's the people that I associate, because I'm the type of person that doesn't really like get swayed or get, immediately wants to be friends with somebody. And so whenever I do become friends with somebody, it's like I take that shit seriously, right? And it's that type of thing that I've done with DBE, and have been grateful to have met people that I consider my friends through it. And there's been things that I've been seeing that on Twitter at times, and I see it, and people, again, talking about Deathbed, and it's just kind of funny to me, right? And again, sometimes I do want to say something, but I just don't even bother, because it's like, again, I'm living rent free in their head, and that's all I really need. I guess another thing that I do want to say is stop making fucking tier lists, bro. I hate tier lists. Smash Brothers tier lists gotta be some of the worst fucking tier lists. If we're having a conversation, I don't give a fuck about your tier list. If we're having a conversation about literally anything else that it's not Smash Brothers, let's not start talking about Smash Brothers. I hate going on Twitter sometimes, because all it is people arguing about some random bullshit that has nothing to do with anything. And I get it at times, right? It's the thing, like I said earlier, that some players, that's all they have and that's all they know, and that's the thing that they feel proud of. But oh my god, I purposely had to stop following some people on my own personal Twitter, because I have the Deathbed Esports Twitter where it's mainly Smash Brothers, and I was already seeing plenty of it, and so I didn't need to see it when I'm trying to scroll through and find funny cat memes on my personal Twitter, and then I get met with Lil Johnny's tier list or why MKLeo is washed. So yeah, I just really wanted to come on and just talk my shit for a little bit. I hope I didn't offend anybody, and I hope that people can understand where I'm coming from. And I just am really happy with what I'm doing with Deathbed. I'm really happy with where I'm at. And again, it does suck because, like I said, I came into this thing willing and ready to collaborate, but I've been kind of turned off by the idea just because of some of those experiences, and I kind of think about it a lot more than I used to whenever the opportunity does come through. And yeah, I really hope that things do end up changing, right? And I get it, right? Like I said at the beginning, it's ego is a big thing, and I feel like ego is what pretty much drives everything. And there's a ton of people in the Smash scene. Everybody wants to compete and win tournaments and be a notable player and be good at the game and whatnot, give their opinion and have, get a little bit of Twitter clout. And so you're gonna be faced with a lot of different personalities and a lot of clashing ideas, right? A lot of people who are trying to be chill on Twitter only to get met by somebody who is a fucking goofball, a fucking doofus, a fucking bozo, and trying to give sort of a very backhanded or kind of just an asshole-ish compliment. And that's kind of what I was referencing, is that I feel like you can't even post something positive because you're gonna get served a backhanded compliment of, oh yeah, you're pretty good, but it's always followed by a but, and that sucks, right? Why can't people just know to congratulate people and be happy for one another without quickly humbling them? It's like, bro, just be happy for somebody. There's no need for you to try to humble them or anything like that. Like, oh, you won? Yeah, well, you only won a 30-person tournament. Maybe try winning a 70-person tournament next time. But still, congratulations, But that's gonna do it for me. I really hope that too many people don't get offended by what I had to say. I understand that it is sometimes difficult for somebody to tell you what you're doing is wrong, but sometimes you need to have that self-recognition and that mental fortitude to understand that, for one, you can't let people walk all over you. Two, you can't walk up to somebody and try to belittle them and then have them do whatever it is that you want just because you've been served life on a silver platter pretty much your entire life. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to give me your own personal takes on Smash Brothers. I am going to be doing another video later on talking about some hot takes, and hopefully we'll get to hear from different people, different personalities about what they have to say about things like Smash Ultimate and the Smash scene or whatever. So hopefully that video comes out soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. I really hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Take care. You guys are beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Bye.